In a season filled with familiar voices, one performance is rising above the noise, and it's coming from a singer whose clarity has stunned audiences worldwide. Lucy Thomas, often described by viewers as having a voice that feels almost weightless, has re-emerged this holiday season with a Christmas classic that is drawing significant attention across social media platforms. Reporters and music analysts note that the reaction hasn't been driven by marketing hype or industry pressure. Instead, it appears to be powered entirely by the striking emotional precision of her delivery. While many artists rely on production-heavy arrangements to elevate Christmas releases, Lucy distinguishes herself with a stripped-down approach that highlights tone, control, and unmistakable sincerity. Her latest performance has generated a noticeable uptick in online engagement, particularly from listeners who comment that they felt compelled to rewatch the moment several times. What stands out most is how her voice manages to maintain both warmth and transparency, giving listeners the sense of hearing something uniquely pure amid the crowded seasonal lineup. And as this reaction continues to spread, analysts are beginning to look beyond surface-level praise to understand why this young singer's voice resonates so strongly, setting the stage for a deeper look into her rise and the story behind her sudden holiday momentum. Few expected a quiet teenager from Wigan to capture national attention, yet her first televised appearance marked the beginning of a remarkable trajectory in modern vocal performance. When Lucy Thomas stepped onto the stage of The Voice Kids UK in 2018, she wasn't introduced as a prodigy or positioned as a breakout star. Instead, her presence was modest, defined by a calm confidence rather than theatrics. But the moment she began to sing, viewers and judges responded with an immediate shift in tone, one that suggested she had something rarely found in young performers: mature vocal phrasing paired with natural restraint. Reporting from the time highlights how she stood out not by overpowering her audience, but by creating space and emotional packing uncommon for artists her age. Despite not taking the final trophy that season, she left the competition with momentum that soon led to a recording contract. Music journalists often point out that this early recognition was not fueled by viral shock value, but by genuine appreciation for her craft. As her story developed, it became clear that the foundational moment on that televised stage was the spark that shaped her approach to performance, eventually guiding her toward the global audience she commands today. And that early rise prepares us to understand the next turning point, when one online performance broadened her reach far beyond the UK. A single upload can redirect an entire career, and in Lucy's case, one performance ignited a wave of global attention that analysts still reference today. Following her initial television appearance, Lucy shifted her focus to digital platforms, where artists increasingly build their identities. Her cover of Hallelujah marked a significant transition from local recognition to international visibility. Unlike many young performers who rely on vocal acrobatics to attract viewers, Lucy's rendition emphasized emotional consistency, clear diction, and restrained intensity. Reporters covering the viral rise noted that comment sections filled rapidly with reactions not about technical difficulty, but about the emotional experience the performance created for viewers. This distinction became a defining factor in her growth, setting her apart from an oversaturated field of cover artists. As the video continued to circulate, it demonstrated that her appeal wasn't fleeting, but anchored in a style that translated across demographics and regions. Analysts credit this moment with establishing her as a digital-era vocalist capable of generating sustained engagement without relying on trends or shock value. It is this reliable audience connection that would later amplify her holiday recordings, especially the Christmas classic currently drawing renewed attention. In a season dominated by polished productions, one question emerges: why are listeners gravitating toward Lucy's understated Christmas performances? While Christmas music releases crowd the digital landscape each year, Lucy's holiday recordings consistently stand apart, and reporters attribute that success to her ability to blend nostalgia with contemporary clarity. Her latest rendition of a seasonal standard has prompted unusually strong viewer responses, with many expressing that the performance rekindles memories without feeling dated. Industry observers note that her tone, warm yet crystalline, allows familiar melodies to feel newly detailed. Interestingly, her holiday releases are not paired with elaborate visuals or dramatic reinterpretations. Instead, the focus remains entirely on delivery, which analysts say is part of the appeal, a return to simplicity in a heavily produced genre. As her Christmas uploads continue to draw attention, platforms show corresponding spikes in engagement, suggesting that her approach is resonating even more strongly this year. This growing interest aligns with a broader trend of listeners seeking authenticity in holiday content, and Lucy's style places her firmly within that movement. With such momentum behind her seasonal work, attention now shifts to understanding what technically sets her voice apart. Experts reviewing her recordings point to one defining factor. Her voice carries a clarity that rarely appears in young performers, prompting deeper analysis from vocal professionals. In examining Lucy's technique, music analysts consistently highlight her controlled vibrato, clean transitions, and tonal accuracy. These characteristics allow her to deliver emotionally weighted material without drifting into melodrama. Reporters covering her performances often remark that her style blends classical discipline with modern accessibility, giving her an unusually broad audience appeal. Her phrasing suggests an intuitive sense of timing, allowing her to sustain emotional tension while maintaining a relaxed vocal line. Moreover, she displays an ability to shift from gentle dynamics to more resonant peaks without losing tonal integrity, a feature that contributes to the angelic descriptor frequently used by listeners. Professionals observing her latest Christmas recording point out how these qualities work together to produce a sound that feels polished yet effortless. As her vocal approach garners more attention, analysts are beginning to examine not just her talent, but the personal discipline behind it, leading to new curiosity about how she maintains consistent output year after year. Behind every effortless performance lies a demanding process, and recent reports shed light on the quieter challenges Lucy navigates behind the scenes. Although her public presence conveys calm professionalism, insiders note that her pace of releasing albums and videos requires significant discipline. Each year, she delivers new material with surprising regularity, prompting analysts to consider the organizational structure behind her consistency. Reporters observing her career progression point out that she operates with a small, focused team, relying heavily on careful preparation rather than large-scale production setups. This minimalist approach allows her to maintain creative control while avoiding many of the pressures typical of major label environments. Still, the workload demands continuous rehearsal, vocal maintenance, and strategic planning, efforts that rarely appear in the final product but are essential to sustaining her quality. As her viewership grows, the responsibilities increase accordingly, and recent observations suggest that she has adapted effectively to the rising expectations. These behind-the-scenes realities offer a deeper understanding of the stability she brings to her craft, setting the foundation for her most recent public milestones. New data from her online platforms indicates a surge in interest, coinciding with the release of her latest album and an upcoming holiday event. Lucy's announcement of a Christmas livestream has drawn considerable attention from viewers anticipating a more personal connection with the singer. Reporters note that these interactive events have become instrumental for artists seeking to strengthen their audience relationships, and Lucy's participation aligns with this trend. Concurrently, the release of her newest album, Portrait, has introduced additional momentum, with early listeners highlighting the project's refined vocal work and cohesive sound. Analytics show increased engagement across her platforms, suggesting that listeners are responding not just to individual performances, but to the broader trajectory of her career. Industry observers comment that these developments indicate a strategic shift toward expanding her visibility during the holiday season, a period historically favorable for vocal-driven artists. With both the live stream and album circulating simultaneously, her presence in the seasonal music landscape appears stronger than ever, prompting discussions about her long-term positioning in the genre. As her latest holiday performance gains momentum, analysts are asking a final question: what keeps audiences returning to her voice year after year? The enduring appeal of Lucy Thomas can be traced to a blend of technical consistency, emotional transparency, and a delivery style untouched by excess. Her Christmas recording this season amplifies those qualities, offering listeners an experience that feels both timeless and immediate. Reporters observing audience reactions note that viewers often describe her work as a welcome contrast to the increasingly elaborate productions dominating digital platforms. Instead of competing with spectacle, Lucy leans into simplicity, allowing the emotional core of each song to speak for itself. This approach not only strengthens her identity as an artist, but also positions her as a reliable source of comfort during the holiday period. As data continues to reflect high retention and repeat viewings, it becomes evident that her influence extends beyond a single performance. The current surge in attention marks another chapter in a steadily rising career, one defined by a voice that continues to resonate across seasons.